Hello, you're listening to Otaku Spirit Anime Cast. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined here with Chris.
Yo.
Today's episode is our fall 2024 anime season reviews. It's time, Chris. It is time to give people a lowdown on what shows worked out and what shows were crap. Which is a lot of shows. I honestly feel like fall was easily, besides like some really heavy hitters, it wasn't a really strong season. I mean, there's some surprise in there. Like, I think in the end of it all, there's still a couple shows that we have that are still kind of wrapping up. For some reason, Don Machi wants to run it all the way until like mid-January, so I don't even know if we'll get a chance to review that one. I might just be getting it. If we do like a 3-parter again for our reviews, I might
try to catch up on it during Golden Week if I can.
Which is like right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Damn.
This is like literally right now. I don't know, like there's so many shows that are still running into it. Like usually this is the week I get off. But no, like literally there's a bunch of stuff airing still. But no, it's like running into it. We should be like, if not finished, we'll be like one episode from the finale. But either way, like there's a bunch of shows that are still like airing. Like Nina had an episode a day, I think, or something, and it's weird. I don't get my week off. I'm upset. What was I talking about? But yeah, there was a few of all the shows so far that have ended. I think the one that surprised me the most, like I most of the shows that I knew was going to be good, I knew from the beginning, like from the first impressions, I'm like, this is going to be a good show, or this is going to be an amazing show. The one show I wasn't sure, and it actually panned out, was Villainess. I'll become the greatest Villainess. That'll go down in history. I was like, it could.
Didn't we both pick on Sumo Show for the pick of the season when we did it?
Like the gym? I don't know. I was pretty sure that show was going to be good. I had a feeling that show was going to be good. But no, like Villainous was the one where like when I got to the first impressions, if I remember correctly, I was like, it started doing something. I'm like, if they do something cool with this, it could be really, and they went into it. Like they literally went into what I was hoping they would do, which is like the whole charm aspect. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. And they actually did some good stuff. It got a little repetitive here and there. Like it had a bunch of like these little moments where like suddenly, I'm doing a review right now. Those moments where like suddenly the characters come in and go, oh, you did something horrible. And but it was great because she's always like, oh, cool. Cause I want to be the greatest Villainess. So I'm going to do this. But it turned into more like trying to clear her name. And I'm like, she shouldn't be wanting that. She should want them not to clear her name. So she looks like a bad person. I think there's a little bit of a mistake or a conflict there.
I love the way that we might as well just go ahead and do the review on it.
Are we starting off things with?
Might as well. We already got it going.
Villainous. Let me bring up the page for it. I'll become a Villainess who goes down in history is the actual title.
Are you gonna let me see the characters or no?
I would have to like literally move everything around.
I love the way
you should bring them up on your phone.
Huh?
You should bring them up on your phone.
My battery sucks. Remember? It's that older iPhone. Okay.
You have the main character Alicia, Duke Seeker. Should I tell people what the show is about then?
Go for it.
This is Rikishi ni Nokuru Okujo ni Naruzo. This one's streaming on Crunchyroll for 13 episodes, done by Studio Maho Films. The source is a light novel. The genres are comedy, fantasy, romance. This one follows Alicia. Well, it follows somebody who died and they woke up at... Did they die? Or they just suddenly found themselves waking up as the Villainess?
I think that I don't think that they were focusing on if she had died or not.
But yeah, it is basically somebody that knows the characters in the game they play, because she used to play this Otome game, and she really didn't like the main character because they're too goody two-shoes and stuff. She likes the Villainess character. But yeah, she finds herself waking up, and she is now the Villainess Alicia Williams. Now, Alicia Williams, the Villainess, is not really like a very prominent character. So she kind of just plays into the role. But yes, in the story, she wants to become the Villainess. She wants to go down in history as the greatest Villainess ever. So she starts immediately like working out. She starts trying to train swordsmanship, magic, all this kind of stuff. Quickly shocks everybody in her family because they all just kind of feel like she was very much a mean person and didn't really kind of socialize very much. And so suddenly now she's changed and she wants to be involved with everything. She eventually masters magic. That kind of shocks everybody because, it takes a while before you manifest your magic and whatnot. Eventually gets kind of tied in with the king, surprises the king really a lot by kind of introducing, a lot of economics from nearby countries and whatnot, and how they can handle a lot of the disparity between nobles and commoners. Eventually starts to go into like this exiled location where all the commoners are at and kind of messing with that kind of stuff. Eventually getting into the academy where she meets the heroine character, the main character of the actual Otome game. Seems that she's different. There's something different about the main heroine of the Otome game, but she's still like this fabled, what the chosen one. What was the name they gave it? Like an oracle or chosen someone or something like that. But yeah, she's like the great one that's going to heal and save everybody. But there's like an oddity about her, and that everybody seems to be kind of like pulled to her. And since Alicia wants to become the greatest villain ever, or villainess ever, she very quickly starts to rain on her parade, doing everything she can to make her miserable. The heroine character just doesn't seem to take it. Like, she just immediately turns around and says, wants to be her friend and everything like that, which drives her crazy. Eventually kind of getting more deeper into that whole aspect of why everybody is drawn to the main heroine character, and, Alicia trying to, again, it actually gets into something interesting because the king himself really quickly realizes, and this is really where it gets into the stuff that I love. The king really quickly realizes that this Liz Cather, the one that's going to save them all, the chosen one, she's of course a commoner that is this, destined birth that will save the country. But he quickly realizes that everybody seems to accept whatever she wants. They just kind of flock around her and they're agreeable to everything that she does. And he realizes that Alicia is different and that Alicia's called her out before. And so he wants Alicia to literally be like her guide, to criticize her and watch her and make sure that she stays on the narrow, the straight and narrow,
right,
to do good for the country. And so what Alicia takes that as being is, okay, I will be the villainess and I'll call her out on everything and I'll show her what an idiot she is. And so, yeah, you do have this whole segment where she reads Liz's paper on how to help this nearby village or something like that. And she just criticizes everything in the thing. Like, you're in a dream world, Liz. Like, whatever you're saying here, it would never happen. Like, think with your brain. Like, this is all like made up fantasy. This is a pipe dream, basically. And of course, everybody hates it. Like, what are you talking about? Liz is perfect. Liz is, doing everything right. No, she does a really good job of kind of criticizing her. So, yeah, that's basically the gist. And yeah, really quickly, the main like number one choice in the Otome game, like the choice is the Duke, like Duke Seeker. Duke Seeker's like the Prince Charming, the handsomest of them all. He's the only one that Alicia in her previous life, the only of the characters that she actually liked. He's madly in love with her. Like, from the very get-go, when he first meets her when she's still young, before she even goes to the academy, he's like quickly head over heels for her. He's great too. So, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on I'll become a villainess? What's your final thoughts on it?
I have to agree with Andrea. I really love the way this played out. It worked so well. Especially her snarky. I love her snark. She is absolutely phenomenal at just pointing out Liz's naivete. So yeah, I really like the way that played out. I agree with you on the Duke Seeker. I think that it was just too fun seeing him just kind of every time because he doesn't love her for her snark. He loves her diligence, which is kind of the reason why she was so into this villainous character, is because that villainous is very diligent, makes sure that she covers all bases, works hard to get to where she's at. And that's one of the main reasons why she loved that character so much. And so she just jumped into the character and went full bore on it because she likes the character. And Liz was one of those characters that she criticizes more because she's not working for anything. It's all being handed to her, and that frustrates her, and she wants her to pursue and do something. And I like that was kind of the ultimate kind of everything falling into place towards the end. I think it did really well at that.
Well, I like how it plays in that because okay, from a gameplay perspective, if she's playing this game and it's of course going to force her to play as Liz because Liz is the main character. And as she's playing through it, it's like literally Liz is the goody two shoes. She is the perfect girl that is super nice and everybody loves her because she's super nice. But from a player's perspective, you're playing out the character and they're making all these really dumb, naive decisions about the country. Let's all be friends. Well, of course, the commoners, let's make everybody come together as equals. Whereas our main character, as a person that is going to criticize that, and now in the world, she's going to see those things as literally dangerous. Like, she's even very clear about the idea of, like, not that she doesn't want the commoners to be with, on equal footing as everybody else, but she understands that there is a hierarchy system that still needs to be kept for order. Like, she's being a realist. Like, she's being very grounded about her decisions. But the problem is that Liz is the bog standard main character who just wants everything to be great.
Idealistic.
Yeah. And so the king quickly realizes that, like, she's talking nonsense that, yes, is good on paper, but in practice will destroy everything. And he knows that. And so he's like, you need to, and that's why the whole thing with that whole criticizing, she literally comes in there and says, yeah, your heart's in the right place, but if you try anything that you're saying here, it will be the ruin of the country. And the king wants her to fix that because he knows that eventually she will get the power and everybody will follow whatever she says and it will destroy everything. He knows full well that people will agree without ever looking at anything else. They're not going to criticize her. Alicia can. So again, that was the thing that I seen early on when we did our first impressions where I was like, oh, this is cool. Because it does have that charm aspect of like, okay, now suddenly everybody's acting like robots. And it was cool because in that moment, in that first impressions, they had that brief moment where finally somebody, like their eyes flickered for a moment when she was criticizing her. And it was like, okay, so here it is where it's showing like how she can possibly break the charm from other people. It was a really cool like little setup there that, again, I'm kind of glad that it delivered on. Kind of gets into that a little bit whole that thing where, yeah, she doesn't really kind of realize what she's doing. Like she doesn't know what's actually causing it, why people are so agreeing of her. It is sort of kind of a charm thing.
I was nearly convinced that they were going to make her into a player.
I was convinced of it too. I was like, at what point she's going to suddenly start going the cackling route? She might have. I don't know. Maybe she does. But yeah, I was dreading that too because I'm typically don't like it. And that's probably why you're saying that is I typically when that stuff happens, it's like, oh gosh, we're doing that. We're doing that.
I want to see it done well. I do kind of want to see it, but I want to see it done well.
Yeah. I think the Atoma game is tough for mobs. I think is the only time where that's kind of worked out pretty decently. Not that we've gotten very far enough into kind of getting too much into it, but yeah, the only part that I would probably say about this show that I didn't much care for, because I'm with you. I love Alicia's personality. I think she makes the show. I'm glad that even though there's a lot of characters, they don't spend too much time on them because, yeah, some of them don't really have much going for them. Like pretty much any of the guys besides Duke and maybe her brothers, none of them matter. Like there's so many of these male characters that are standing around that have no purpose but to stand there and look pretty like the Atoma game. Like the Atoma game they are characters from. I love the king. I think he's a very a solid character too. Her father had a moment of some cool stuff happening with him. Outside of that, most of the cast that's kind of standing around them have no purpose but to kind of facilitate the moment. And I'm fine with that because I don't necessarily think I've had too many of these types of shows where they feel the necessity to go into them and they don't really need to. They did a good job kind of sticking with Alicia, keep to the main story, the main focus, her and Liz, throw the Duke in there every now and then. But no, my one probably beef that I have is a lot of the stuff outside of the university and the main area, going into the nearby village with the commoners and whatnot. Some of that stuff kind of felt... I know what they're doing there, but at the same time, it almost feels so disconnected. Like every time she would go there, it was almost like, what is the purpose of? I know what she's doing it again because she wanted to do that because she didn't want Liz to beat her at actually dealing with that situation, It's what kind of facilitates her meeting. What was his name?
Ace?
Will.
Will.
Meeting Will. Yeah, technically her little servant boy. Getting that stuff in there as well, and the whole saving that girl's life and making her sort of her informant, whatever. All that stuff was like, I understand what they're doing there, but at the same time, I almost feel like it doesn't fit with it. Yeah, like I said before, Will is important, obviously, but it almost feels like it's not important. Like it almost feels like at some point, finally, we're going to start to make have some significance, but overall, it didn't feel like it fit. It almost felt like two different shows whenever she was over there. It was like, what is this show now? Like, again, I get it. At the same time, I don't. Like, I almost feel like that stuff just didn't have much weight to it overall. But that's probably my only real complaint, other than the fact that it's Maho Films, and thus it has that Maho Films jank to it. I still don't like I don't like those middle cards. I hate the middle cards. It's such a Maho thing, too. They have to do it with every show. They have the stupid mid cards whenever it goes commercial break. They always have to have the characters yell random crap in front of the screen, and then it cuts to another character, and they're yelling random crap at the screen, and it gets back to the show, and it's like, you'll have like a serious episode where something serious is happening, and suddenly out of nowhere, it cuts to one of those mid cards, and they're like, and it cuts off, and then it comes into this one else, and then it cuts back to the show, and it's like, stop. Maho, you don't have to do this with every show you do. Like, it was cute for, what was it called? I want to say God's Blessing on this one. That's Konosuba. By the Grace of the Gods. You don't have to do that. I was cute with that. You don't have to do it with every show. But yeah, Maho Films, guys, it has that Maho Film jank. It wasn't as bad as usual Maho Film shows are, so that's not saying much.
Show.
That's not much. Yeah, it is not really a high action show. Every now and then it does have some action there, but it was good overall. It was a nice take on the Otome game, Villainess type of show. It was very much so a surprise. Yeah, a lot of my enjoyment's around Alicia. I just like her character. Finally getting to eventually why she has such a got like a goth eye patch thing going on in the OP. It took forever to get around to that.
I had a legit reason for it too.
Yeah,
I like it.
It was good. Like everybody's response to it. The moment she has an eye patch on, everybody's freaking out. Like, oh my gosh, Dad's so mad. Dad's so mad. It's good stuff though. I enjoyed it. It was really great. I like the informant chick. She was cool.
She was great.
I really liked her character too. Duke having some girl watch her. Anyways, yeah, that's anything else on I'll Become a Villainess? I think my favorite part was my favorite part was when she first goes to the academy the first time and she solves that problem. Like, they have this problem that they put on this placard.
Yeah.
And anybody can solve it. And so she just like casually walks in there and actually resolves it. It was like some question on how they can take over a nearby country or something like that. And she's like talking about like cutting off their supplies until they like dry up and then come in there and act like they're actually saving the place and then eventually just take them over and make them a vassal state. I'm like, damn, this girl's brutal. Of course, all the brothers let them come in there and they're like, Alicia, what the hell? It was great. It was like my favorite part. Good stuff. I like it though. I'll become a villainess who will go down in history. What's the next one? Dandadan. You're not going to do dandadan, right?
Nope.
Might as well get dandadan out of the way. Let's talk about some dandadan.
The greatest anime ever, and I missed it.
You did for sure. I wouldn't say it's the greatest. It's definitely probably number one of the season though. For like if you took out ReZero and that's pretty much it. Orb, because those are still going in the next season. Dandadan, streaming on literally every platform. Crunchyroll, Netflix. We have Science Saru is a studio based on a manga. Action, comedy, drama, romance, sci-fi, supernatural. This is another one with a crappy end. They should have stopped with 11 episodes. Like the 12th
anime ever.
The 12th episode, like I think they were going to do 2 cores. Either that or they were planning on maybe having like a season skip. I think this is coming back in, is it spring or is it summer? One of the two. It's coming back in like spring or summer, but it's like, ugh. Like even a single season break kind of sucks for that ending. Like it had like a total it was like an intro to like an H. Like something really like bad could happen to the characters, and I'm like, why is this the stopping point for the season? What the hell? We all knew they were gonna get another season of it. It's like it's too damn popular right now. Anyways, yeah, Science Saturday is working on it. For those that don't know, it's when it opens up with our character Momo, and Momo is breaking up with her boyfriend, or at least the boyfriend's wanting to break it up because she's not putting out, and he wants some, and so he's literally like, give me some money, or put out. You don't serve me any purpose or whatever. So he ends up breaking up with her. She gets mad. And then at some point, she ends up seeing this boy, Okuron. Well, she calls him Okuron later on. His name is Kin Takakura. She sees Kin, and he's this nerd boy. He's getting, picked on by some kids in his class. She kind of steps in there briefly because she doesn't like the idea that he's getting bullied. Kind of sits next to him for a couple minutes, and then they stop messing with him. She gets up and leaves. And then he confronts her, like chases her down, and he's like, you like occultic stuff, you like UFOs and whatnot. You were looking at my book. He was reading this occultic book, and she's like, no, I don't like that stuff. That stuff's fake. And they get in this argument because her grandmother is like a spirit medium, and she does a lot of work with spirits, and so she believes in the supernatural and ghosts and whatnot. He thinks that's bogus, whereas he's like a massive occultic fan and loves all things like sci-fi and stuff like that, UFOs, and she doesn't believe in that stuff. And they get in this big, massive argument until they basically challenge each other to go to two different locations, one where there was a UFO sighting, where she goes to because she doesn't believe in them, and she sends them off to some tunnel where there's like this known like spirit in there, and they both go there to kind of prove the other side wrong. Well, she gets attacked by a bunch of aliens called Serpos that want to steal her banana and and take her her reproductive organs because they're like an alien race of only males. And over there in the tunnel, he gets attacked by what they call Turbo Granny, which is like this old lady that says that he can suck on her teat. In return, she's gonna take his unit. So yeah, they both kind of get attacked by something. While she's being attacked, he somehow he gets possessed by Turbo Granny, and then transports through his phone to her phone and attacks the Serpos, but then gets his butt kicked, and then she unlocks her. I guess her family is a lineage of spirit mediums, so she actually unlocks the ability to use psychic powers, and so she saves them both. But unfortunately, after the smoke dust kind of settles, come to find out that Okuron, being possessed by this Turbo Granny, if she doesn't constantly keep his aura, her aura within him kind of in check, he will turn into Turbo Granny. At the same time, yeah, he lost his wiener. Turbo Granny stole his wiener, so they have to go get his wiener back, which turns into them having to actually challenge Turbo Granny. That's basically the setup. That kind of gets into some later stuff where, yeah, they have to kind of go and get his unit back from Turbo Granny. Eventually, this other girl, Ida, who is in their school, she ends up getting a hold of this golden ball that gives her some abilities to see spirits, and she gets kind of get wrapped up into it as well. Later on, we meet Ayase Momo's childhood friend, who used to pick on her all the time for, her grandma being a spirit medium and having her do like these rituals. So he needs help as well, and that's where we kind of cut it off at the end there. But yeah, that's dandadan in a nutshell. Aliens and whatnot all kind of getting caught up into, and mad shenanigans happening. There's like this overall plot line where it does kind of hint to the idea that, this world having yokai and spirits and aliens all kind of being wrapped up together. There is sort of a sense that they all might be sort of similar in a way, but also kind of also hinting at the possibility that the yokai and spirits might possibly be keeping aliens at bay. But that's kind of just a theory that Kin or Okuron has, that there's a possibility that aliens want the power they have in order to fight the yokai so they can invade Earth or something like that. Again, it's a theory. Don't know if it's actually true. But anyways, my thoughts on dandadan. First of all, visually, really fantastic. It's Science Saru. They went absolutely crazy with this series. The animation, the style, the directing, the perspective shots. Yes, I'm in the camp where at times the very monochromish type of style to it, where like in most scenes where they're confronting something, it's just like it's pure one color. Like it's just red with lines and shading, and there's no color given to it. I see from a thematic standpoint, it kind of makes sense because like whenever they're dealing with a supernatural, it almost gives it kind of almost a zone. Like they are involved with something and suddenly everything becomes the same color to kind of give it that sense that you're not in reality anymore. You're kind of stuck in this other reality where you're fighting something. But at the same time, there's while I don't notice it after a while, it is sort of one of those things that whenever I notice it, I'm like, I really wish that this had color to it, like some color to this damn freaking show. It seemed like a stylistic choice in the end, just not really particularly my favorite. Other than that, I think overall, like visually, it's just a fantastic show. Visually, it looks really great perspective shots. They nailed so many of the scenes. Like they had this whole scene where she ends up running into Nessie, and it nailed that suspense and dread in the scene that I think most companies would have failed to actually pull off. Because I've always, like I mentioned before, I always feel like Japan, at least with anime, doesn't really do suspense very well. That sense of dread, something's coming kind of thing. Other than that, yes, the show itself, like the characters. I think this show just oozes characters. This writer is so fantastic at chemistry, dialogue exchange between the characters, everything around them, just interacting with each other is perfect. I think Momo and Okuron, Ayase and Okuron, their chemistry is just perfection. It's pure perfection. And then when they introduce Ayase's grandmother, who's great as well, suddenly that just adds to it. Chemistry's fantastic. Then they add Shiratori into the mix, and she's off-putting at first, but then she just has a great chemistry to go to it. And then they bring in Gigi, and I hate his guts. But then eventually I think he's kind of cool too. Like everybody they add to this, Turbo Granny, crazy at first, just works with the group. Like I think this writer is just so perfect at chemistry. And I think, now granted, I don't think many of the characters so far like have great depth to them. Ayase and Okuron have some really solid depth to them so far. Like I really like Ayase's character. She fits in with like the Gyaru type. She's very popular. She looks great and everything like that. But I think she also is she's an understanding person. She's not like your typical Gyaru character. She's not a a popular girl that's just full of herself. Okuron's definitely where a lot of the depth is, and the idea that he obviously not having any friends, being very kind of isolated. Suddenly somebody shows up, which is Ayase. He doesn't want to let her go because finally somebody talked to him. He finally has a chance to have a friend. He didn't want to miss out on the opportunity. And now here he is trying to not lose something that he feels like is an opportunity to have a friend. So he's very much so wanting to constantly do anything he can not to let Ayase down, even though I don't really think there's an expectation from Ayase that he's going to let her down. Ayase, every fight sequence, I think, every situation they get kind of tied up in, she's like a total badass. I'm trying to think of another character in like this is kind of a shonen type of series, a battler type of combat focused type of series. I'm trying to think of another female character that I think is like better than Ayase. She's a quick thinker, constantly saving his butt, and she just pulls like the greatest moments off in this series. Like every time there's something that really fantastic happens, it's always her. Okuron tries to help. He tries to help, but he always kind of is wrapped up in the fact that he's still trying to get used to Turbo Granny's abilities. I'm still waiting for him to actually do something cool. But yeah, she's amazing. I love it though. I love pretty much every single minute of this series. I don't think there was a single episode that I didn't find really fantastic. The other cool thing the series does, before I forget, there's something cool about series that have a yokai focus, where they try to actually get into the yokai itself, the yokai or aliens, whatever. Every time there is sort of a villain character, they'll always have that moment where they get into kind of explaining the character in some way or make them empathetic. First example, of course, is Turbo Granny. They have the run-in with Turbo Granny. Turbo Granny is this yokai that at some point traveled to this tunnel and got stuck there. And there was a sense from the grandma that there was a location-bound spirit there that was really, really powerful. After they end up fighting Turbo Granny, we end up finding out what Turbo Granny is. That again, that she is a yokai that traveled there and stopped there. But why did she stop there? Well, this is a tunnel where a lot of bad people bring unfortunate young women to and harm them, kill them. And Turbo Granny, this yokai, decided to stay there because she wanted to take care of those women, their spirits that were bound there. And so it kind of gets into moments where you're like, this crazy old lady that's like, you can suck on my titty if you give me your banana. This crazy psycho granny chick that attacked him, she just wants to protect the spirits that are there. So she's actually a good person, question mark? Question mark? Later on, they run into Acrobatic Silky, and then we find out why Acrobatic Silky is this crazy psychotic monster thing that's, chasing down Shiratori. They always have like a story behind them. Even the mantis shrimp thing that they run into later on has got like some crazy backstory from his home planet and stuff. They did a really good job of kind of not feeling like they're kind of just mid-fight trauma dumping on you about the villain character that they're fighting, but always having like this little moment where it gets into them. Acrobatic Silky's story, though, was such a good episode. Like, if you don't watch any of this series, if you watch Acrobatic Silky's episode, it was just pure cinema. Like, I'm episode 1. Oh man, this is fun. It's just fun. It's just a fun episode. I love this. These characters are laughing. They're doing crazy stuff. I'm laughing. It's episode 2. Shenanigans happening. These kids are dorky. They're literally she's trying to stop him from using her bathroom because that's nasty. She doesn't want some kid from her school using her bathroom in her house. And then we get into episode 3. Okay, now they're fighting Turbo Granny. We're having some crazy action stuff happening. And then, like I said, going into Acrobatic Silky, and suddenly it's like you're watching a film. Like, out of nowhere, we're watching like some crazy traumatic film about this lady trying to provide for her daughter and working night and day just to buy her daughter ballerina shoes because her daughter dreams to be a ballerina. And so she's working really hard day and night just to provide for her daughter. And it's like this crazy tragic story eventually leading into why Acrobatic Silky is there. It was just pure cinema. Like, it was just like, I'm in tears. like out of nowhere, I'm suddenly in tears in the middle of this dorky show about a guy trying to get his banana back. It's crazy. It's good stuff. Yeah, easily one of the best shows of the season. Really, it is the best show of the season. Again, not taking into account continuing shows.
And then worshiping the golden ball.
The ball, yeah. Shiratori really likes to worship the golden ball. That episode, she like takes the ball, sticks it in her pocket, and like rubs her finger around her pocket where it's at. I'm like, oh my god. And then later on, I say it's like, stop worshiping that. Don't worship somebody else's face. You don't call it that. It was dorky. Good stuff. Anyways, that's fun show. Very fun show. Cannot wait for it to come back. It sucks. The wait sucks. I think that's the only negative I'll give this show is they should have stopped at 12 episodes. The end of episode 12 was not a good stopping point. Just not a good stopping point. Not a good stopping point. And yeah, Grandma's great too. She's totally a grandma. She's totally really old. I don't know. If Ayase is probably like, what, 16, maybe 17 at most? Because I think they're still in high school. She's a teenager. Her mother would probably be at least, 30, 35. Then her grandma would be, I guess her grandma could be like 50. She doesn't look 50 either. She looks like she's barely 30. Other than the fact that she has like the old granny, like gray hair tied up, and she dresses in like some pretty, when she's at home, comfy grandma outfits. But she doesn't look that old. There's something fishy going on. Even Shiratori calls it out, because Shiratori is convinced that she's seen Ayase's spirit arms, so she thinks that she's a devil, and she believes that she's she's controlling devils because Okuron can turn into one. She thinks that Okuron is being controlled by Ayase, so she wants to free Okuron because she's in love with him. And then immediately seeing Grandma, she thinks something's fishy because Grandma looks too young. She quickly wins over Grandma because she thinks that Grandma's too young to be her grandma. Anyways, it's a goofy show. I love it. I think you should watch it eventually, though. Dandadan. That's dandadan. Let's see. Let's do Nina. You said you weren't going to watch Nina, right? Nina, the Starry Bride. This one's probably... It's probably the one that I'm most... I think it's good, but I won't sell anybody on it type of show. Like, I think it's a really good show, but it's just...
It's not that good.
What was... I was trying to think of what somebody called it. Was like a Spanish drama, Spanish soap opera. I think they called it a Spanish soap opera. Mm-hmm. I've never watched Spanish soap operas, but I know there's a twinge to this show. It's weird. Nina the Starry Bride or Hoshi Furu Okoku no Nina. This one ran on for 12 episodes on Crunchyroll. This is another one, by the way. Crappy end. So this needs another season announced. Otherwise, I can't suggest really anybody watch it unless you're going to check out the manga because this ending sucks too. This is equally as bad. If you watch dandadan, for those of those that watch dandadan, and you're wondering if you want to watch Nina, this has a similar end to its first season. So it hasn't had an announcement for second season yet, I don't think. But this needs another season bad. Signal MD is a studio based on a manga. This one follows. Her name is Nina. There's a girl named Nina. Because I think I got it. Yeah, it's Nina. I know that I got it wrong last time. I had to correct myself. Nina, and she is a street rat. You know, in this one kingdom, she's kind of trying to survive by stealing. She's hanging out with her two friends who are also homeless. At some point, one of the kids realized that she's special because she has these blue eyes, and that certain people will pay a lot of money, to buy a street rat that has blue eyes because it's very rare. At some point, he ends up losing his brother dies to an illness, so he ends up selling her off, contacting somebody that was looking for somebody with blue eyes and selling her off to them just to get some money. And so she basically got betrayed by her childhood friend, at the same time sold off to who knows what that just captured her. Come to find out, it's actually the prince of the kingdom. Turns out the princess of the kingdom just died. And the princess of the kingdom had blue eyes. And so they're trying to find somebody with blue eyes to essentially impersonate the princess, because they don't want to reveal to the public that the princess died. Because the princess has already been wed off to another kingdom that they're trying to not get invaded by. There's this one massive kingdom up the north, and they want to invade. And so they're hoping that if they can marry off the daughter, this princess, to them, they won't come in and kill them all. And so they need to find a replacement. They find Nina. So now she's Alicia, the princess of this kingdom. Which works out great because Alicia has, at the time that she died, she was being transported from this temple where she was basically growing up in. She was sent off when she was born to this temple, and she was raised there to be a priestess. And now when she came out there, she died. And so they're just going to replace her with Nina. So Nina, the street rat, is now the princess of the kingdom and trying to learn how to be a princess because she's about to get sent off to be wed. During the time that she's in the kingdom still, she spends time with the prince, which is Azur. Kind of find out that he's the first prince, but since the former queen is no longer there, the new queen wants her son to be the next king. So he's basically sort of somebody that she wants to get rid of. But anyways, she's spending time with Azur. He's teaching her how to be a princess. At some point, she gets shipped off to the other kingdom to meet with the prince that she's going to get married to. And she's trying to figure out what she can do for the sake of protecting her original kingdom because she likes Azur so much because they spent a ton of time together. So that's basically the gist of it. I know a really crappy way of explaining it, but my thoughts. Like I said before, I actually really like this show. And it's hard for me to say because I do. It's almost like in that vein of there's multiple sides to it, and while I like certain aspects of it more than others, I can't deny that it is what it is kind of thing. Like, this is kind of one of those, it's almost a reverse harem type of setup where you have the main girl, Mina Alicia, who is kind of being pursued by multiple very rough male characters, that kind of vein. It's very, it almost feels like it's in a vein of a shoujo type of series, but I don't think it necessarily is, because Nina as a character is a very strong character. She gives me a lot of sense of something like a Aladdin type of character. She's very much, like I said, a street rat character. She reminds me a lot of Aladdin because she's very skilled. She's very witty. She's got that roughness that comes from her being a street rat for so long. Like, if somebody tries to get rough with her, she's not a dainty princess. Even though she's supposed to be acting like a dainty princess, she can step up if she needs to step up. And she'll do that every now and then. She's very vulgar in certain situations. Like, even when she's before the queen of the other nation that she gets sent off to, she's very, very rough with the way that she's speaking, which, yes, most people would think that's going to get her killed. That queen likes it. The queen kind of likes how honest she is and how she kind of speaks her mind. I like that about her. She's very much so goes after what she wants. Every now and then kind of getting caught up in, yes, the feelings that she has for certain characters. Which this series, it's a frustrating romance, but at the same time, it's a very intriguing romance, because the way that it sets it up early is that immediately upon being basically captured and brought into becoming this princess, she's being guided by Azur, who is the only person that actually knows about the fact that the princess is dead. And so he's like the only one that really knows her secret besides, some, like, her lady in waiting. So him being the only one that knows her secret, he's the only one that knows her past. And so there is a moment where she does kind of realize that she has nothing else. She's no longer who she once was, but Azur's the only one that knows that she is Nina. And so there's a comfort that she has in that. And over time, she does grow feelings for Azur, but then acknowledges that, yes, at some point she's going to have to get sent off to marry somebody else, and she will no longer be with him. So it turns this whole thing where she no longer could be with him, who's technically, at right now in most people's eyes, her brother. She gets shipped off to this other country, but she still has feelings for Azur, and she accepts to go to the other country because she wants to protect Azur. And then when she's at the other country, she then meets this extremely nasty prince on the other side who is like a warlord. The one that she gets married to is literally like this other country's general. Like, he is the one that is getting them all the success on the battlefield. Additionally, there's this, it's so weird. The opening segment with him, when they first introduce this guy, this prince of the other kingdom, his name is Set. When they first introduce him, he's in bed with three different women, and they're all women that were sent from different nations that are all attempting to curry favor with him so that he doesn't invade their nations. Anina's another one, being sent there to wed him in order to avoid them invading. And he's in bed with these three chicks, and he shoots one of them because she was trying to kill him. And then he takes it as a sign that they were attempting to kill him and uses an excuse to invade. And so there's almost a sense here that he's waiting for Nina to attack him as well so that he can invade them as well. And it's such a weird introduction, but it kind of shows how ruthless he is. And then here, Nina's supposed to somehow win him over. Obviously, eventually she does. And so then now it turns into this whole weird thing where suddenly now I'm kind of conflicted because, yes, she should be with this new prince to curry favor with him in order to prevent him from invading her home country. But at the same time, I kind of want her to go back to be with Azur, who is the one that she actually loves. And now she's in the middle between figuring out if she wants to be with Set, who's this guy that will save her nation, or go back to be with Azur, who is the whole reason why she's doing what she's doing in order to protect her nation. And it turns into this weird love triangle that I have no clue what the f*** it's going to do in the end. After this whole season, what my mind came to is I like the characters, I like the setup they have, and I have no clue how the writer's going to conclude it. I'm almost at this point now where I want to know what the writer's intent is to do with this, because again, she technically can't leave this set guy. It doesn't seem like she doesn't dislike this guy. Like he's grown on her, and he's kind of he's changed, and he's now treating her nicely. He's not treating her like within the first few days he nearly cut her in half. She's got a massive gouge down her chest because he literally just cut her just to see what she'd do. This guy was nasty at first, and he's kind of cool now, question mark. But at the same time, she can't leave him because he's going to destroy their nation. Like, I want to know what this writer's going to do. And I'm actually right now, I almost want to read the manga because I think I'm just curious. I'm curious what this writer will eventually do with this, because I don't know how this can end. I really have no clue what they could do here. The only thing I can think of is that the only thing I can think of is how they can resolve this is have Set be killed by somebody, and then Azure come in and saves Nina some way. I don't see how, unless it's going to turn to some crazy thing where Azure and Set have to fight to death to see who takes Nina home, which they could probably totally do that. But at the same time, that doesn't stop Set's entire nation from destroying them. So again, I don't know how they can end this, and I'm kind of curious how they can end it. And again, like I said before, it's not a good stopping point. It's literally not a good stopping point. I kind of want to know what's happened. Let me see if they've announced a new season, because I was hoping that they would announce another season before I had to review it, because I just don't like it. I don't like the ending. I don't like where they left it off at. Yeah, there's no announcement yet. Ugh. Just ugh. We'll see though. I enjoyed it. It was a solid watch. I do really like Nina's character. I think Kazuo was pretty solid. Set's super fascinating. And I think the overall setup is really solid. I'm very pleased with it. So there's Nina the Starry Bride. What else do we have? How I attended an all-guy mixer. I'm not going to spend much time on this. My thoughts are pretty much where I was sitting at with my first impressions, so nothing has really changed. For those that don't know what this is about, it is three guys who end up getting invited to go to a mixer, and when they all get there, they come to realize it's with a whole bunch of guys. Well, the joke is that these three guys, they show up there. They're not actually guys. They're actually girls who cross-dress as guys because they have a bar they run where they dress up as really pretty boys, and the girls come in to buy drinks from them, a little host club. And the whole joke that kind of goes from here on is that, yes, they at first are wondering if they're actually girls. They end up finding out that, yes, they are actually girls, but the three of them are kind of conflicted for a little bit. Well, one of them doesn't really care because he's kind of a little bit, he's a goofy little kind of pure boy. The other two kind of get a little conflicted for a little bit there, but they get over it. And it's just them hanging out with these three girls separately. Each one of the guys gets one of the girls, and they hang out and do things together, and each have their own little quirk. We have the main guy, Tokiwa, and So. Their joke whenever they're around is that everybody sees So, the girl that he's with, whenever she's dressed up as a boy, it's the prince of the university. So all the girls are madly in love with him, and so they're all jealous of Tokiwa for being with him. And yeah, so every time they're on scene, you have the chicks in the background going, "Oh my gosh, those two guys are together. Squee, I'm jealous." With Asagi and Fuji, Fuji is a mangaka, so she's constantly wanting material for her manga, which is BL, and she doesn't want him to see what she's actually drawing. So whenever he's there, she'll have her do like backgrounds of certain panels that don't have anything on it, like, suggestive. And Asagi is he's a cute little puppy. He's just a goofy little puppy that's super pure. And the last one's Hagi and Kohaku, and he's like conflicted because he is trying to figure out. At some point, he gets to the point where he doesn't know that they're together, and then at some point he gets his opportunity, but then he's conflicted at some point because he realizes that he likes Kohaku whenever she's dressed up as a boy. So now he's conflicted if he's cheating on the boy version of her versus the cute girl version of her, which is weird. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think it's a charming show. I don't necessarily think that there's really anything wrong with it other than the fact that I think Tokiwa and So's segments are extremely repetitive because every time they're on the scene, it's the same joke with the girls in the background wondering if these two boys are together, and everybody's jealous of Tokiwa for being with So. But I think overall it's fine. It's just kind of, a lot of it's not my jam because a lot of it relies on the Fujoshi jokes, and that's never really been my shtick. But I think overall it's charming. Like it's a decent show, just nothing I would ever, go out of my way to suggest to people, and I'll probably forget it in 2 weeks. So it's solid though. It's got its charming moments. Demon Lord Retried, you didn't watch that one, did you?
No.
Again, another one that I don't really feel like I have anything else to say. I feel like this season was crap. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I'm gonna say it. Demon Lord Retry I didn't like it at all. Like, there's a few reasons why. One, I know this is a shocker because I don't even think the first season looked that great. This season looked horrible. Like, absolutely horrible. Like, visually was just oof. But no, my major issue with this season is I liked the first couple episodes because it almost tried to get a little bit more into the original world that he came from and why he's there, getting into him actually making the game that he was making, and him with his friends and them developing it and the original admins basically. But once it got back into the story of the world, like we're continuing on from the first season, maybe I just wasn't feeling it, but I felt like this season was all over the place. Like it was constantly jumping around to characters that I don't even recognize. So there's like a side of me that's like, did I forget these characters from the first season? Are they new characters? Are they old characters that just don't look right because the visual styles kind of changed a little bit? I don't know. But I just felt like it was all over the place. Like every single episode, it almost felt like some new person was popping up, and I'm trying to figure out who this person is and why do I care about them. Like at some point, they jump over this one kingdom where you have this girl and she's trying to manage these slaves, and she's like under the thumb of this group. And I'm like, who is this chick? Is this a chick that I know? Am I supposed to feel bad that she's being treated horribly, or is she somehow tied in with the main? I don't know what this group is, and it kept jumping around, and I just I couldn't get my bearings in the entire season, and couldn't really care about anything. So I just hated it. Overall, I just think it was a really bad season. Not that I was like super invested in the first season. I think it was fine. Like I just mostly like because it's Kendra Suda being isekai'd as a grumpy sounding demon lord that everybody is afraid of, and he just uses OP abilities to save everybody. But this season was just rough. This season was garbo. So massive thumbs down for Demon Lord Retry R. What else? Acro Trip. From the new studio. Got a new studio making a show with advanced technologies or something like that. It was some weird slogan on this company's website where they're like using new animation techniques. Stop. That's my response. Stop. I'll look it up in a minute. Acro Trip, streaming on Crunchyroll for 12 episodes, done by Studio Voil. Sources of manga, comedy, fantasy, maho shoujo. This one follows Date Chizuko. I know that because every single episode, every single time Chroma finds her, she says, Date Chizuko. He has to say her full name every single time. It's funny. Anyways, Date Shizuko, and she's basically spending some time with her grandfather at the city where he lives, just to kind of get away from her life. And when she's visiting her grandpa, at some point, she ends up bumping into this mascot, and this girl doesn't really realize they are. It's just a cat. And then later on, she ends up seeing a battle between, yes, the villain of the city, Chroma, and the magical girl who protects the city, Berry Blossom. And very quickly, Dante just falls in love and becomes a massive fan of Berry Blossom. And she just loves watching the news reports every day where they show footage of Berry Blossom's latest stoppings of Chroma's evil plans, and quickly calls up her mother and says, "Mom, can I stay here for a little bit longer? Because I found something that I really, really like." And that's super exciting for her mom, because her mom just feels like Dante just doesn't have anything that she enjoys in life. So now she's finally found something. And yes, eventually this bad guy Chroma ends up confronting Date and asks her what he can do to improve himself, because she's criticizing him and thinks that he's not doing a proper job of highlighting how amazing Barry is. Everybody kind of gets bored because Chroma's not really doing anything that threatens the city. So most everybody's just kind of doesn't really see Barry as doing anything that's going to be
Come on,
beneficial.
he's the greatest villain ever. His devious plans include flipping.
He flips the mat outside the convenience store.
Exactly. Freaking insane.
That was really...
It's devious.
Really wrong. Or occupying the playground swing and he won't get off, even if a kid wants a turn.
She came running on that one.
She literally did. In the middle of a storm, she's like, "I gotta get over there. Chroma's doing bad." Anyways, yeah, that's the gist of it. So, anyways, Chroma ends up tricking Date until eventually he tricks her into forming a pact to become a villain in the part of the bad guy's army, in order to get out of a closet they got stuck in, because she didn't want to miss the daily broadcasts of Berry Blossom's exploits for that day. So he's now a part of the bad guys group, which works out great because then she can do something that's actually diabolical that people will appreciate that Berry Blossom stops. So that she's kind of trying to help Berry Blossom get more popular, because Chroma's not doing anything that anybody cares about. So what's your thought? Oh yeah, and Kuma, the Kuma Bears.
Kuma Kaijin.
The Kuma Kaijin. Kuma Bears.
Kuma Kaijin.
Kuma Bear. Kuma Bear.
They're not bears. They're Kuma Kaijin.
Bear.
I love it. It's not huge, but it is very huge. It is a solid show. I really liked some of the kind of weird twists that they were doing to a lot of the systems that are involved in most of your magical girls. I guess the best one was, without going too much into spoiler territory, was kind of how they made the magical girl mascot kind of tied into the bad guys system. And I really kind of liked how they're just kind of tying everything in. The bad guys are not really all that bad.
Spoilers.
Was that more of a spoiler than the mascot? I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a real, just kind of a breath of fresh air, just enjoying just them and their hijinks. They had some decent kind of charisma going on. Can't say a lot for the visuals. It is what it is. It just kind of worked.
You mean the visuals that are in their philosophy beyond the future of creating the future, creating the future of animation, aiming to provide a new visual experiences to people all over the world. Again, stop it. Whatever you're doing, stop it.
Maybe they have to.
It looked like butt.
Maybe they had to refine the.
They're still adjusting it. They're like, This is new technology, and we're getting there. Eventually, we'll just turn that knob perfectly to where it finally arrives at the good spot. Maybe they're doing AI.
Probably.
If the AI spit this out, I'd be wondering what the model they created, because it's very unique, at least. It's unique, at least. I can honestly say that it's not AI because I don't see anything that's mimicking. It's fine. It's fine. It's all
You just
right.
thought it was fun.
It's like a 4 out of 10 visually.
Oh, visual. I thought it was all right. I didn't hate it.
It's I at least he didn't hate it. What the this I'm looking at Mal where it has the studio and it says members favorited 2.
Mm-hmm.
Who were the 2 people that favorited this studio? You who favorited this studio? The the company owner, the president, and his mom. The president of Voil and his mom favorited it. That's the 2 favorites of the studio. Anyways, my thoughts. Again, another one that I'm kind of in the same boat as I was at the beginning. I think this show opened up with a solid concept here with it's a gushing over magical girls setup where you have the girl that's super like madly in love with the magical girl. And I thought that was cute. And it had some great moments early on with like Berry Blossom when she had to save her in the convenience store and Date just freaking out. I think its biggest problem, and it was its problem throughout the entire series, Date and Chroma just are not good chemistry. It was like that from the very beginning. I just don't think that they were funny like for the first couple seconds because Chroma is useless and Date is competent. And so anything that she brings up that's super simple, he'll freak out about because he just sucks so bad. He doesn't realize how bad he sucks. And then so her putting in 2 ounces of effort freaks him out. Like she like offers the idea of like kidnapping the mascot from Berry Blossom. And he's like, oh, that's diabolical. And I'm like, yeah, because you think that flipping the convenience store mat is the most diabolical thing ever. Like that was literally like the first thing that he ever did that caused her to stop him, and then he fell in love with her too. So like any scene where it's just the 2 of them, it just doesn't work, which is unfortunately 90% of the show is just Chroma and Date and this really horrible chemistry and writing around their workings. Whenever you got somebody else involved, like whenever Mashudo gets involved with them, whenever Berry Blossom kind of gets stuck with him at some point, it's gold. Like, I think Chroma and him geeking out about Berry Blossom's hilarious. I think Berry Blossom thinking that Chroma is in love with her and she starts getting all, like, doked out about it was just super cute. I love all the moments whenever Berry Blossom's kind of tied in with them, but it's just so few and far between. Even bringing in Cocoa in the later parts of it, even bringing in the master, the leader guy of the evil organization, it didn't really. Those were kind of rough too. I think the only thing with the other side characters that really kind of worked out for me was, yeah, like you were saying, getting into Mashiro and his backstory, I think was decent. So yeah, it's kind of one of those shows where like 5% of it works really well, and the other 95% is just kind of yawn, unfortunately, which sucks. Like I think the only like laugh out loud moments I really had is easily the whole scene where they were trying to bait Berry Blossom by having Mashido be their hostage. I thought that segment was super funny. Like him picking up that phone to call up Berry Blossom and it ends up being Mashido's phone. And then they tell Mashido to call Berry Blossom while he's still tied up. It was just so dorky. Like he's like literally in the room. Why are you asking him on the phone to call Berry Blossom? It was dorky, but those moments just didn't really come up often, which really does suck. So, and again, to top it off with it not looking good at all was another oof, which sucked because I really truly wanted this to be the gushing over magical girls for people that don't want to watch gushing over magical girls, because I understand that people don't want to watch gushing over magical girls because it's super lewd. I wanted this to be that, like the creation of the villain, but even then it didn't even lean into that. Like it didn't lean into Date becoming the villain. Like there was a few moments where it is Date trying to coach Chroma and to work behind the scenes to push Chroma out there to do something crazy that'll make Blossom look good. But they didn't even play off of that very much either.
Not really.
They did like what 2 or 3 scenes of it, and then it all got wrapped up into the bad guys' leadership and stuff. Like every moment that it had to do something really interesting, it didn't do it. So super disappointment, because I think this is one of the shows that I had up in my list of most anticipated. I think I had a little bit of side of me that was hoping this would be a good one. So super bummer.
It's kind of weird because I started getting this kind of strange urge that I wanted to see more magical girls.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. Maybe just to break up the monotony of it. I mean, I liked it, but it did feel like it was getting kind of stuck. And I don't know what it was that. I mean, when the CEO started showing up, and it was like I was excited about that. That's
Coca. Her showing up at some point. I'm like, oh, cool. This can do something. It was all right.
Yeah,
it was all right. It was all right. I think Hugh ends up doing more than anything. He was the guy that ends up like actually capturing Berry Blossom, or was another capture Date? They had him at like the news place, and then they had to come in there. Yeah, it was Berry Blossom. And they had to come in there with the backup wands they found online that actually work. That was stupid. He had like a whole bunch of wands, and they all actually work. That was dorky. Anyways, Acro Trip. That's that. Let me do Beastars real quick. Let me get Beastars out of the way real quickly before I forget. Beastars, I actually finished this today, so it's actually super fresh on the mind, unlike some other shows that I've had done for like a week now. Beastars, the final season, part 1. Yes, we're doing that again. Just like Attack on Titan, we're gonna do part 1, part 2. I think it's only gonna be 2 parts though. I think. This course done by Orange, who does all the Beastars series, the CGI series, on Netflix, of course. Ran for 12 episodes. I think the other part should be probably 12 episodes too. I don't know. Based on a manga, drama, suspense are the genres. But yes, those that don't know about the Beastars franchise, it takes place in a world where carnivores and herbivores live side by side. Everybody is an animal person. So you have like wolf guys, lion people, deer people, and they live just like humans do. You have like a society with, governments and mayors and cities and skyscrapers and everything. It's just instead of people, it's animal people. And yes, there is the setup here where, yes, there's the carnivores and the herbivores, and they're very conscious of the fact that while they don't want the carnivores to be eating the herbivores, there is a sense here that, yes, the carnivores could give in to their instincts and want to consume a herbivore, but they just don't. At least in the public facing, there is like black markets where, yes, you can go as a carnivore and buy actual meat. You have in some areas in that area where you'll have a person that's trying to make a buck, so they have like their fingers with price tags on them if somebody wants to pay to buy a finger or something. But anyways, we follow Legoshi, and he's going to this one school, trying to raise the top. There is this status that is the Beastars, which are basically symbols of society that are like the crown jewels of what this society can offer, which are typically people that are trying to keep order and strength within the order they've created. Going into the final season, we do have pretty much kicking off where we left off with the whole situation with Legoshi, dealing with the events of, was it third season or second season? I think it was second season. He had to take Luis's foot in order to get over that, but now he's trying to get over the fact that he's basically Legoshi, who is a carnivore, has consumed flesh, so that he's trying to get over the desire to consume more flesh, because now that it is in the system, he wants more. And so he's trying to get over that. At the same time, the overall story is that there is a group trying to take over the Shinsengumis, which he is creating a new energy drink that is a mixture of herbivore tissues and whatnot to sell to people in order to induce the desire to give in to instincts to become killing carnivores. At the same time, you have one of the Beastars. Oh, I forgot what his name was. He is trying to keep order in the city, so he is trying to hunt down who is creating this energy drink. And we get a little bit into Legoshi's, his mother and his grandfather and all that kind of stuff, which that was pretty cool as well. There seems to be a lot in this season about sort of a recreation of separation between the herbivores and carnivores, which I don't recall being really necessarily a thing in the previous seasons. The previous seasons kind of gave me this feeling that they wanted people to coexist, where it feels like after everything that's happened with the previous season, it almost feels like they're trying to create a divide once again. Like, even in society, there feels like there's a greater emphasis on Legoshi not being able to be with Haru, who he's in love with this bunny, by the way, from the previous seasons. There's almost this feeling like not wanting interracial, or at least especially carnivores and herbivores getting together. But there's seemingly like a higher emphasis on not wanting interracial relationships to happen that I didn't really think was very much so present before. But yeah, that's sort of the gist that we've kind of gotten onto so far. And this season I really have liked so far. I think my only I really love the first season a lot. The second season I loved even more so, but not so much the segment where it was really getting to Legoshi, sort of, working with Gohan to get over his desire for flesh. He put him like through this whole like training segment to force him to give up on meat and the desire for the meat. And I felt like this season didn't really have much really kind of sticking points. I think throughout the entire season it was solid. It started to develop how can I bring it up? There's this new villain called Melon, and they are kind of building him up as sort of being a similar situation as Legoshi has kind of had to face in the past with his mother. And I would probably say that's the only weakness that this season had so far, because it's almost giving me that feeling of it's the villain character who's doing bad, and the response to it is Legacy being a little bit too, I understand what your pain is going through, while the other person doesn't want him to say that. It feels very My Hero Academia-ish. Like, I seen the bad guy cry, so I want to help them, save them, that whole thing. And it kind of feels a little bit cheesy. But that's probably like the only bit here that I haven't really liked. Other than that, it's just more really solid Beastars.
They cried once so we can save them.
Right. Like, he's seen something in him. I know what you're going through. And the entire time the bad guy's going, oh, I know what you're thinking. Oh, poor you. Yeah, shut up, kind of thing. It's like, I know that you're trying to sympathize with me. Stop sympathizing with me. I hate it. But no, it's more incredible Beastars. I think what this creator really does nail is it's a very believable world. Like, Beastars has always been an incredibly believable world where I can see this being reality. Like, I can see this being like, if I walk out the door right now, I could see this being a society that would actually make sense. Like, nothing feels out of place. It feels like a living, breathing society of, again, a wolf person walking alongside a deer guy, and you wondering, but what if he just bites him in the neck? Kind of moment.
Andrew, there's no cat girls outside.
There's very few cat girls in this show.
I'm just letting you know.
There's a lot of wolf girls.
You said you're believing that if you can walk outside, the world outside of the door has not turned into the cat girl world.
I'm actually very surprised that you have not watched this show, because the main character is a wolf. There's a wolf girl.
I know, I'm behind.
It's just one of those things that dawns on me like, that's right, Chris isn't watching this show, and I'm literally looking at the characters on the screen right here, and there's a wolf
This is the only season I haven't seen.
A wolf guy. Oh, you watched the previous season?
Yes.
Oh, I totally forgot about that. Anyways, interesting side notes, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. So looking forward to the second parter. It's just, again, solid writer, really creative world that I was getting into before you interrupt me. Makes a really nice, believable, breathable world that just makes sense. Like, just having this whole segment where a certain very important character goes with Legoshi through the black market, and it was just kind of like one of those surreal feelings of, oh, that's right, because we've seen the black market so many times, but to see this particular character in that setting almost makes it feel more unsettling than it was before. Like it kind of puts it in perspective what's actually going on in there. So I thought that was kind of very fascinating. So I'm looking forward to the second season or the second parter. Really, really good start for it so far. Another rough ending. That's 3 shows in a row, but this one has a guarantee next season. Nina's the only one of the 3 bad endings. This is I have 3 shows that we've reviewed so far that have really bad stopping points. Thankfully, only one of them doesn't have a next part coming yet. Yeah, this one doesn't have a good ending for its first part either. Not that I'm like upset. Still really good. Were you gonna get caught up on 2.5 dimensionals?
If I'm lucky, I will.
How many episodes you got?
The whole season.
Ain't gonna happen.
I like I said, I didn't know that it was continuing.
It's gonna happen. Oh, so you've watched 12 episodes?
The first season, yeah.
No, it's a 2 course. There's only 1 season. So you've watched the first core.
Yeah, the first core.
I got you. All right, we'll hold off then. The healer who banished from his party?
Yeah.
Banished? The healer who was banished from his party is in fact, wait for it, the strongest.
You mean he's OP?
Yes. Because he gets the horn and everything.
Yeah, something happened to do with a horn.
Party kara suiho sareta sono chiyoshi jitsu wa saikyo ni suki. This one is ran for 12 episodes, done by Studio Ella. Source of light novel, action, adventure, fantasy. This one follows Laust, and Laust is seen as the lousiest person in the guild. Everybody hates him. Like every group they get in, he's like apparently a failure because all he can do is heal. So he's super weak. Everybody hates him. He joins this one party with his Magalus guy, and they go to fight a Hydra, and he can't even cure poison. So he told them to bring antidotes, but they didn't because all healers can cure. So they got mad at him. And so, yeah, everybody hates him at the guild. He's holding up a sign waiting for somebody to invite him to a party. And then Narasana showed up. And Narasana, she actually was healed by him a long time ago and protected when her carriage that she was in got ambushed. And now she's gotten stronger so that she can join a party with him because she's like Doki Doki because she met him once, 10 years ago. And so she's been basically living her entire life to build up stronger so that she can hang out with this dude every 10 years later. So yeah, she joins this party. They go out adventuring together. She doesn't know why he doesn't recognize her, even though literally her hair color completely changed and she's much older and she looks nothing like she used to because, it's been 10 years.
You know what I found funny is that 10 years later, that carriage is still there.
It's true. It is still there. Some say to this day, the carriage is still there.
That's because it's still there.
It's literally still there. Like it never decayed. Like nobody decided, hey, let's go ahead and salvage some wood from that. Probably get some firewood out of it. But at least the canopy should be gone. But anyways, they make a party together. Everybody hates him, but he makes a party with her. They go out dungeon diving together. They make, kill monsters because he's super OP. She's trying to be, hold her own, but she gets saved by him. Yeah, and then later on it gets into this whole thing where there's this secret, super weird underground thing that's happening with the guild where they're sending off the strongest fighters. Oh, they're trying to get them to leave the city for some reason. There's monsters in the dungeons get evolving, and there's this whole legend of this dragon that will attack in this secret princess that will save the area
which is totally not Narcina.
Putting it to sleep. It's totally not Narcina. Didn't see that one coming. Yeah, and there's this weird conspiracy theory in the background that's happening, and there's people trying to stop it. And yeah, his group eventually realizes how super good he is, and they want him to.
They didn't take a lot of convincing. They were like, "Nah, he can do that. Cool, he's good."
So yeah, that's this show. He's OP. I mean, the title tells you. I mean, he's the strongest. So what'd you think of the healer who was banished from his party? is, in fact, the strongest.
He's totally not going to be the dragon that Narcina is going to have to kill. That's totally not in the cards at all.
No, that was the one that possessed the guild knight.
No, it was a cool show.
He's randomly out of nowhere, he just suddenly starts glowing and has a horn. I'm like, what are we doing with this? What is this? Whatever. Okay, he's got a horn now, and he's just one-shots everything. I doubt there's any point to any scariness to this show. And they did the whole trope where it's like, you gotta stop him or he won't be able to turn back. How do you know that? Like, literally out of nowhere, he starts going nuts and like, you have to stop him or he'll never be able to turn back. And they have to do the whole thing like, no, thou stop. You're going too far. Why? How do you know that? We doing this whole trope? Sorry, go ahead.
It was fine. I didn't hate the show. I generally enjoyed it. I kind of like Loust. Narcina was cute.
What'd you like about Loust?
He's just kind of genuinely cool.
Well, you see, there was that one moment where we had that really massive character development where...
No, I didn't say anything about character development. I said he was just a genuinely cool guy. That's it.
It was a conversation in the bar. It was that conversation in the bar where he said something very, very deep and...
No, I didn't say anything about depth. I said he was just a genuinely cool guy. That's all I said.
He's just there.
He's just a genuinely cool guy. That's it.
I like his collar.
I don't care about his collar.
He's got the whole
I said he was a genuinely cool guy. That's it. That's all I said.
Going on.
You got to turn it into something it's not. He's just a genuinely cool guy. That's it. His teacher was cooler than him. Stupid kid.
She held the wall. She helped held the wall.
But no, that's about all I've got for the show. Other than that, it was fine. Nothing it did really offended me. It just kind of went on and just had fun, except for the stupid carriage being there 10 years later. That was the stupidest thing they could have done. Why did they put the stupid carriage? Because they come down the road. They're hunting the stupid goblins, and there's a carriage, and then all of a sudden one of them goes, "Oh, I know that carriage." And the other one's like, "Oh, that's the carriage where we met." No.
They just were using assets and they had to put it in the story somehow. They're like, hey, let's use the same background, but the carriage is still there. We'll just say it like reminds them of old days. You remember the carriage? Yeah, that carriage. It was a really well built carriage. So much so that it's still there.
They had a lot.
It capsized, but it's really durable. I don't know. I have nothing positive really to say about this show besides Narcina's cute. That's about it. I kind of like the other healer they run into later on, the Lyra. I thought she was pretty solid. The whole guy he was like some dude from like the major guild that came over to investigate or something like that. He seemed all right, awkwardly all right. Like he's an awkward dude. Like he's super awkward while Lyra is like very kind of more, I guess, forward. she gonna get that boy. But no, I think Lyra and him and Armia was probably more interesting of a story than Loust himself. Loust is just he's just a protagonist of an OP main character fantasy wish fulfillment story. Like he's super like unoriginal. Like everything around Loust is very unoriginal. The overall story is extremely unoriginal. There's nothing here. Like it's literally I can't I don't even know why I continued watching it, because it's one of those shows where at no point was I ever surprised by anything. So even the chemistry is just not really there. Like at first I kind of like Loust and Narcina's chemistry, but they did like literally nothing with them. So there's nothing to really kind of talk about. That's the healer who was banished from his party is in fact just an OP main character. That's not the title. I'm just joking. Did you do Goodbye Dragon Life already?
Goodbye
Is that
Dragon
one finished?
Life.
You do Goodbye Dragon Life?
I watched it.
Is that one finished?
I think very likely.
Yeah, they did finished.
I hope you're not planning on having any good coming out of this one.
Huh?
I hope you're not having a good, expecting a good review of this one.
You didn't like it?
Not really.
Ugh.
You liked it? I'll be surprised if you like it.
I liked 50% of it. There was a part of it I liked, and you're gonna laugh at why. I'm just
okay.
This is where it's gonna be funny. Goodbye Dragon Life or Sayonara Ryusei Konnichiwa Jinsei. This one is done by Synergy SP and Vega Entertainment. Source is a light novel, and the genres are action, adventure, fantasy. But yeah, this one follows Dolan. Well, it follows a dragon. The dragon gets chased down by these people. He gets killed, and then this goddess like reincarnates him as a human. I didn't realize it in my first impressions because I didn't really know until they show it in like the 4th episode. But yes, literally in the same world, he gets reincarnated into the body of a human, where he's then raised as a human and lives a normal human life in this village out in the middle of nowhere. The village is very open to like non-humans, and so they all kind of coexist there. They kind of get into a little bit later on. Doesn't seem like that's really the case everywhere, but he's enjoying his life there with, you have a cow lady that gives everybody her milk, and the husband's
it's totally
really
not her milk.
really happy to share his wife's milk with everybody, but she supplies the people with milk, and she really wants to share the milk. But that was what I was joking about, the whole dream sequence. I realized they kept bringing up the milk is from the daughter over and over again. I'm like, why do they keep pointing out in the dream that the milk is from the daughter? Why are they specifying it's from the daughter? Okay, I get it. They're really trying to push that the daughter is ready to go with the milk. Anyways, he's raised there. He's enjoying his life there. It's very peaceful. At some point, he ends up bumping into this Lamia who's traveling to try to find her mate, which is very difficult because Lamias have problems with mating with men because they have to find one that can withstand their poison. But yeah, she hangs out with him for a little bit. They part ways, but then she really badly wants to be with him, so he helps try to figure out a way to help the villagers accept her in, because apparently they accept cow people, they accept non-humans, but not Lamia, because Lamia can control people because they can charm people. So they have to prove that she won't do that. But yeah, she joins in. Eventually, yeah, he gets involved with the major city. They really want to kind of bring him in there to go to the university like you were talking about earlier, and then that gets into the whole later segment where, yeah, the what was it that got him in the dreams? Oh yeah, it's because the thing discovers that he's there and she wants to take him out. Yeah. So what'd you think? Oh, Dragon Life. Goodbye, Dragon Life.
All right.
There's like a whole middle segment that I don't even remember about this show. I'm struggling. Let me look at the thumbnails.
It was the bad girl was gonna take all the parts of all the peoples and put them all together.
That's right. She won the Lamia. Yeah, she wanted the Lamia parts. I remember that part.
And then they went over to the elf forest.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. That was the part that started losing me. This big the demons are invading, and they really don't like the dragon because the dragon stomped in their ground. You know, he was a fallen angel. That's right. Yeah, he really didn't like the dragon.
No, he was a not exactly a fallen angel, but he was a kind of an. He was
angel
in the celestial
assassin.
Plane. Yeah, he was like
an
some kind of an assassin. He was literally sent there to kill the dragons.
Yeah. I missed that part, apparently.
And why he joined the demon realm, I don't know. I started checking out on that one as well.
I thought he was specifically like literally trying to gain power because he got so mad about this one dragon.
Dolan was the only one that he couldn't destroy.
Yeah, don't spoil it. I'm joking. That was literally like my whole joke that I was gonna make earlier was like I just like Selena. Like, I think that she is super fun. Like, I enjoy Dolan and Selena, and a lot of Christina. I think their chemistry was pretty solid. It's just like I don't care. I didn't really care much for like any of the stuff involving, the crazy chick that wanted Selena's parts, and like she's Frankensteining together people to make herself beautiful. Shrug. I don't care. Getting into the whole like demon invasion stuff was like super shrug. So I guess it's probably a lot more than 50%. But like when they started getting that whole fight with the demon army, I just checked out. Like,
that's pretty much where I'm at.
why has this suddenly become like some crazy shonen? And then at some point I caught myself because I'm like, so wait, I want it to be just slow life crap. I typically don't like just the boring slow life stuff. So wait, I wanted to go back to the slow life stuff. I kind of wanted to go back to the slow life stuff because this whole like epic battle with the demons and saving the elves, and I don't care.
That's pretty much where I'm at. I like a lot of the characters. I just, none of the stories that they were putting those characters into worked for me in any way, shape, or form. None of it. I didn't find any intrigue into kind of the building up of any of those bad guys. I didn't like their antagonistic nature. I didn't like any of the kind of battles. Nothing felt like it was had any weight to it. I just generally did not like the stories behind a lot of the other arcs. But the characters themselves, I like most of the characters, even some of the characters that were added in the latter parts. I like them. But the bad guys, none of the bad guys were worth a dang for me. So that's pretty much where I'm at. It's
literally the whole thing. I'm just realizing how bad it got. Like, again, I first episode, solid. Introduction of the Lamia. We're getting him hanging out with her. Eventually, they bring in the Night Girl, which is what was her name? Christina.
Kurisu.
Episode 4. That's the point where they literally, when I picked it back up, getting back into that was straight into the crazy chick that wanted the Lamia parts, and then we go right into the Forest of Entei, and they get into the demons invading, and it's literally a battle for until. What, episode 10? And then we'd go 10, into episode 11, which is 12. Like a chill, and then it would be right into the dream, and then the other...
No, 11 and 12 are literally the demon goddess of distraction.
Yeah, the one that wanted to mess him up in his old nightmare. Which that whole like dream sequence was so weird. Like, it's just like, it plays it out like he's back to the village, and then it's just like, everybody's just up and leaving, and it's like, okay, I get what you're doing here, but do we really need to play out everything? Like, it was trying to isolate him, obviously. I know what you were doing there, but it just felt like, do we have to play it all out? Like, I get what you're doing here, just cut to the point. Just cut to the point. I don't know, like, yeah, I guess I'm with you then in the end. Like, I even still, like, I probably wouldn't even say 50%. It's probably more like 10 or 15%. Like, I think him and Selena are super fun together. I just get a huge... I think I like Selena is really what it is. Like, this is the one... I can't think of another show that has a Lamia character that I liked other than Selena. Like, I don't typically like Lamia characters, but she just works. She's super cute. There was some moments in the beginning segments of like the whole protecting of the elf village that was decent, but it just, I don't know. I think Dolan as a character is not really that interesting either, so it doesn't really help it. Yeah. I'm going to join you and just thumb down. There's no point to the show other than to just watch a clip of the milk lady. That was no, because they had the Christina girl. They were trying to help her like get more involved with the city, or they're trying to help make her feel welcome. And like they have this whole segment where they're like, yeah, she's right here, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere they're like, hey, have a drinking contest with me. And as the milk lady's husband wants to have a drinking contest with Christina, so they're just chugging down like jar after jar of milk. And Christina's like unfazed. The guy like passes out apparently from drinking too much dairy. And then suddenly the They come up with another jug to Christina and is like, try this one out. And then she drinks it. She's like, oh, that tastes good. Oh, that's hers. And then the daughter, she's like, she wanted to try out the daughter's milk. She approves of it. So the daughter's all happy. And it's just like, you know, the writer's just slowly playing into this joke about the milk. It's literally the only...
I mean, it's exactly where I went. Yeah, you say cow lady milk. Duh. Know exactly where we're going with that.
I just like the fact that like one of the opening segments is that he's late and he needs to get to somewhere and he's running along and suddenly the milk lady just calls out to him and he's like, oh, hey, how's it going? And she's like, oh, here, you want some drink? And he's like, oh no, I really shouldn't. I need to get on my way. And she's like, no, you should have some. Okay. Thank you. It was very tasty. It's just like, just drink the damn thing and go. Like, what? Why do you have to make this awkward? He literally, like, he's been here his entire life, but for some reason, right here, when he's like literally late teens, maybe 20, like
he's
suddenly
seen how it was made at some point, and that messed him up.
He only like literally last month finally realized where he's that dense of a protagonist that it took him this long to finally realize. Oh, that's where it comes from.
Oh,
like he's literally talking to the husband of the lady at some point. They're just kind of hanging out when he's like, so where do you guys get that milk? And the guy's like,
you don't
dude,
know?
You don't know? He's
like,
it's for my wife. Yeah, I know that, but like, does she have like a formula? Does she know how to, like, what is she mixing together? Like, is it eggs or something? It's like, dude, it's right here. What do you mean right here? Like, oh. And you're okay with that? Yeah. Like, everybody drinks it. It's the milk. But you're okay. It's not like anybody's sucking on it. We put it in a jar for you. Don't make it weird, dude. The last dude that made it weird. Yeah, you haven't met him, have you? It's because he's gone. It's just...
Dude,
I like
made it weird. You made it weird.
You made it weird. I just like how casual it is. It's just like, hey, she just makes the milk. And she shares it with everybody in the village. But why are you suddenly making it weird when you're introducing us to the world that you've been in for a while now? Anyways. Yeah, that's goodbye. Goodbye, Dragon Life. Goodbye. We'll probably get a second season. I wonder if they've announced it yet. I no doubt this gets a second season because it's a show that I think shouldn't get a second season. Thus, it will get a second season. You dragged me down into your negativity. I was okay on it, and then you dragged me into. No, I was really looking at the thumbnails and realizing how many episodes that whole freaking battle was. It was alright. It's not that bad. It got a 6.37 on Mal. Ooh, we're almost a hentai levels. I don't.
Well, it did give me the black rose lady. She is kind of hot. I kind of like her.
The one that he somehow magically healed by pouring energy into her somehow. And then she like fell in love with him.
She fell in love with him and is stuck on him for the rest of the show.
Everybody falls in love with him. I was hoping to like the crazy psycho demon chick, but then yeah, she's gone.
She's a bit much.
The albedo wannabe she gone. Your favorite girl ended up gowning her. She gone. She's not doing too good. She's not doing good. Yeah, Miu. Miu was the milk lady. I'm sorry, I'm making too many milk jokes. It was literally the only weird funny thing about the show. Besides the Lamia and having to find a male that can take their poison because if they mate and they can't take the poison, they kill them. Anyways, that's Goodbye Dragon Life. I think that's it. I think we'll call it there. We still have lots to go over. I don't know. We might make it a 2-part reviews. There's a lot of shows carrying on in the next season. Like all the shows that I really want to talk on detail with is like carried over. Like ReZero, and we might still do a ReZero talk, but like Orb carrying over and stuff kind of sucks. Rama's gonna be another. Rama's another one, dude. What is this season? Let me hold on. Let me look at other ones. Any of the ones are like that? No, it's just Rama's the other one. So Nina, dandadan, Beastars, and Ranma. All 4 of those shows have crappy stop points. Only Nina's the only one that doesn't have another season coming. But Ranma did it too. They ended Ranma on the point that he made Shampoo cry and run off. They ended the season on Shampoo crying and running off. Why would you leave the season on Shampoo crying?
Right.
Shampoo, best girl. Mm-hmm. Anyways.
Black hair, right?
No, she's the Chinese, the Amazonish chick with the...
She didn't have black hair? Been a long time.
In the old series, it probably looked black. Because it was very dark purple. Yeah, she was the Amazon chick that wanted to kill Ranma Kus. She actually nails it. They actually nailed that character this time around. I really like her. No, I was actually surprised they had like the ballerina chick that was like, or the ice skating chick. Super obnoxious. I love it. I'm like, it's been so long since I've seen such an absolutely obnoxious character. Like, she's super high maintenance, screaming all the time, wants attention, once, and I'm like, this girl's a dork, and I like it. I like how obnoxious she is. I wouldn't want to hang out with her, but she's obnoxious, and I love it.
Did you happen to notice if we got a Baka song yet?
No, Chris, we have not a Baka song.
No Baka remake song? Damn it. No. I'm blown away that they're not doing this.
I have no time to put it together myself, otherwise I would. Anyways, that's it for this part 1 of our reviews of the fall 2024 anime season. Hope you guys are joining us for next week for part 2. We still got quite a few to go through, so more shows to critique. Super negative this time around with especially Goodbye Dragon Life. But we hope you guys are joining us for next time. But again, we're at talkspirit.com. It's where all of our links are. Social media links, ways to get a hold of us, ways to support us. We have also links in the description below if you're on whatever group you're on, a podcast or on YouTube. Definitely appreciate everybody's support. But until next time, y'all take care.
Os.